Y or an N for the outcomes. And it doesn't help to cheat on that because we can see, I've already seen those, but just to make sure that everybody put in, and then put in here, make sure you can put in yourself as number 1, 2, and then the last person, when it goes around, make sure that you set this up. Okay? Did you write that?
Yeah, I'm starting
You're doing
here.
it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Did you write it down?
Yes.
Perfect, so I can move on with this. Okay, we got that part. So what are we going to cover today? Welcome. We're going to be covering software. We'll be talking about, under software, we'll be talking about OS, which stands for what? Operating systems. We'll be talking about application software. We'll be talking about source code. What else will we be talking? We'll be talking about fintech. And we'll be talking about what I call algo trading. Enough, right? So, the way everybody needs to have a name tag, if you don't have a name tag, make yourself a new name tag. Okay, and use a marker, right? I don't need to be saying this each time, right? You pass it around, right? All the types of things that we're doing, we don't need to repeat it over and over again. Always in the beginning of the class and at the end of class, I take questions. If you ask a question in the beginning and I don't think it's relevant like that, I'll delay it till the end of the class so you can see. Any questions before we begin? So in my last row, let's get our name tags. Yes. It's either work, either one. Sometimes secure keys give us a better connection. Okay, but we don't want to go live. I appreciate it. Okay. What else? Any other questions? Guys, how are we doing?
Good.
Good, everything's okay? It's been too long since I've seen someone. Who's in from my Monday class? Anyone that came from my Monday class? Yes, okay. So you're from my Monday? That you continue. So, just so you know, I teach on Mondays and Wednesdays. Same time, same place. So if you ever say, hey, on Wednesday, Monday, you're basically, we're going over the same thing you did on the Monday classes. Sometimes there's a little bit of difference, you know, since we have it. But you're welcome to join me on my Monday class as well. Okay, if you say, hey, I want to go over it, I want to have things, or I want to see you, I want to ask you, I do the same thing as we do here. Number 1. Number 2, can you put down on the board, what is your name again?
Gia.
Gia, can you be so kind and put on the board, right, that what were you supposed to remind me?
We're meeting in the lab next week.
Right, next week, we're going to meet in the lab. And the lab is in the School of Business in room 204. Put this in your notes. Stubblefield 204. Stubblefield 204. Lab next week. What's the date next week? 7 is 13th, right? 2/13/2019. The reason why I'm going to do it in the lab, we'll see how it works out. But one of the reasons is I'm going to give you an assignment tonight, and one of the programs that I'm going to give you assignment on and show is works on Windows. Most people have Macs, so the software is installed in the lab. This is a way that we can help each other, and we'll see how it works out. We may sometimes use the lab there, sometimes it may be more cozy here. Okay? But we'll see. What we're trying is, as you know here, we're experimenting with technology, and we know we're going to have what? Issues. We're not going to get overly excited, but what do I want everybody to do? Is when you have issues, you do what? Okay, what do you do if you have issues? If you have problems during the week on some software? You want to document it. How can you document your problems? Who can help them? How can you, Ally, how can you document your problems?
You can write it on your notes or on your blackboard.
My blackboard, my ordinary, and what's another way? Hamza.
While using them, you can screencast them.
I can screencast my problems, right? The whole reason we're going to use our own, what they say, we're going to use our own dog food. Meaning that we're going to experiment, so the tools I'm using, also when you can't meet with your group, it's not an excuse to say what? That we can't have the group going on because we couldn't meet because somebody was out of town. What can we do, Blaze? You couldn't meet with your group physically.
You can
You can do
FaceTime them.
you can basically, you can use collaboration software and you can record it. So then when you have one person in your group that never shows up, you have a recordings, right? When you're going to do your peer evaluation, they can come back and they say, I had a mean group. I was there and they weren't. So it's a way in which to document. It's also a way in which you have issues. Now, James, what I want you to be able to film here is this board here. Is it filming there? That board and also getting me. So you may want to move it over. I don't need this to be recorded. Nobody needs to see this, right? And it's the same way that you always want to check and recheck. So for instance, the same way, Blaze is going to make sure. Does it say live? Yes, it says live. Do I have it? Do I need that door?
No.
No, I don't need the door. Right? We don't need, it's not like a class that we want to see, is a movie star coming in or the rock star coming in, right? Later on, we'll take out our phones when we're going to have some rock star coming in or some rock star, okay? But right now, I'm the star, right? And the purpose is to record what I'm doing that you can also repeat it. So that's number one. Any questions so far? And what else did I say? Gia, what else did I want you to remind me? How quickly we forget, right?
You get a break, 10-minute break.
Well, wonderful. Isn't it great with the group, we want to help each other, right? So one of the things in this class is, if your group is getting stuck, you have the phone numbers of everybody else in the other groups. You can see who is ahead, who seems to be getting it. You can reach out to other group members, and our purpose here is to be collaborative and help each other. We don't want to do their homework for them, but we want to be able to help each other. That's the whole idea. Nobody has all the answers here. I don't have all the answers. You don't have all the answers. But what I'm teaching you here is how do we figure out and how do we solve all the problems. Okay? So, what else do you have to remind me?
That's it. It was the break and the
Right.
lab.
What else you have to remind me, and everybody has to remind me, is what? That I need to be mic'd, right? So another thing here is we're all going to get, some people were asking me, how do I get an A in this class? And then one of the things is, the way that you get an A in this class is that it's a little bit different than other classes, is that you have to experiment, you have to participate. So one of the things that I expect you to do is be prepared. Every time we have assignments here, that you be prepared. You have to get it all right? No, but you have to have been prepared and document, where did I get stuck? Everybody with me? It's not that, and then when I can figure out where I've been stuck, then I can spend our time valuable here rather than going over every word in the textbook. You guys can read. You're required to read, and some of you I've realized here is you just do the quizzes and that's it. That's not enough. One of the things you need to do is basically, especially on the chapters, go through the end of the chapters with all the terms and be familiar with all the terms. If you're not familiar with all the terms, what should you do? Why not? Basically look them up, right? You can look them up just like, isn't it wonderful, Google and everything else? That's the beautiful, and be prepared. And then when you get stuck, you say, hey, they talk about an enterprise, and I read it, and like we do in class, like we read it, and I don't even know what that means. Bring it down to life, then figure it out with your group, and then say before when I ask questions, this is what I didn't understand. And this is what I understand, and this is where I'm stuck. That's participation. You don't have to have the right answer, but what? I don't know, I don't care isn't enough for me in this class. I tried, and I'm gonna do it now, or I'm gonna search. Everybody understand that? I want you to be that somebody was asking me, and I appreciate it. Jake was asking me, how could you what? Describe this class in 2 sentences. This class is how can you use technology to basically get better at your jobs, to be better in terms of your business, to increase revenues, to decrease costs, to reach out to your customer, to know your customer better. And basically it's changing each time. Okay, everybody with me. So what else do I need? So I'm Mike, that's good. We have live on both. And one of the things here is everybody's gonna check. So Tyler sees it and James is on the side. He can say, hey, wait a minute, where's an issue? Does he need to know in terms how to fix it? Then we'll see, hey, there's a problem. It could be YouTube, it could be our line here, it could be the phone, it could be a lot of things. But your idea is to be active, and also, it's a little bit hard, I know, just sitting cramped up like this and being passive. So one of the things too is to be active in terms. Okay, so what I need to know now is I need to go to my YouTube, and in my YouTube, I need to go to Creator Studio. And in Creator Studio, I need to go to my events. And in my events, what should I do now? Start Hangouts on Air. So I have the Start Hangouts on Air, and that Start Hangouts on Air, you should be able to see it where? Where should you be able to see it?
On your live stream.
What?
On your live stream.
And where? How do you find it? Everybody said my live stream. Well, you know how many millions of live streams are going on now? Huh?
The URL.
Yeah, but where else? Where can you always find it?
Steam.
Steam it where? Which channel? At what? At the Psycho, right? What's my phone number? Okay, so somebody was asking, are they the Psycho too? You know, that somebody was asking, how was my seminar last week? I told them about at the Psycho, and I told them, and we did exactly that. And I said, you know what, and they were just so impressed. You know, these are professionals. They're learning all that, and I said, yeah, and they're excited about it. I had to, you know, stretch the truth. Okay, so what do I want to do now? Start broadcast. One of the things that's your roles to me. Basically, you know, you'll get participation. If you raise your hand, Dr. Rushing, you forgot this, you forgot that. Don't feel embarrassed that you're correcting me. I love it, okay? So in this case, now I get to say your Hangout will now be broadcast, and it is starting. So how can you tell if it's starting? Where should you go? So one of the things you can do too is say what? Go to Steam and at the Psycho and see, go into today's date and see, is it broadcasting? And then some of you again can join it, and others that can't make it to the class and say, hey, listen, I had to go home. You can then participate and you can be one of the people here in the class. That's the beauty here, and that's how we're going to think. When we have guest speakers, I have a lot of guest speakers from California, from the Netherlands that want to participate. Sometimes we'll invite them through, basically through here. It's better when we see them in person, but it's a shot. So what do I want to do? I want to share my screen right now. So I'm going to share screen, and I say share, because sharing, is it caring is sharing, or sharing is caring? One of those, right? Did you learn that? You learned in what, nursery school or what? Okay, so I have here, so I should be screening. If I go to Steemit, at steemit.com at the Psycho, we should be able to see it, and it should be here, right? 2/16/18, right? Is that today?
Yeah.
2/6, right? And I should be able then, there's two URLs. One is short and one is long. The question I'm asking you is, what's the difference and who cares? Gina, what do you think?
It looks like you can click on the long URL from right there.
Right, I can click here, I can click right here, and what's the difference? Who can tell me? Yes,
Bottom
Kayla.
one's for Google Hangouts, the other one's for your YouTube stream.
This one right here, the first one is for you to view it. You can just view and see it. You can view it anytime. So let's say you say, hey, you know, Dr. Rucker went through a lot of things. I want to review just parts of it. You can, tomorrow or next Monday or in the weekend, you can go here and review it. This one, put in your notes, the long URL is you participate in real time and you're one of the participants. So your face will be down there and you can speak and we can have conversations. So when we invite guests, I'll send them to the psycho, because once they hear that's my channel, they're afraid to come in, right? And they say, we'd be rather being with you from afar, then they can participate and they can actually be participants. Everybody clear on the differences? Rachel, how's it going? Okay, perfect. So we got that part. So what do we want to do? We want to check. Everybody clear on the differences? Rachel, how's it going? Okay, perfect. Okay, so you can see that it's delayed. My question to you is, what's 5G? What's 5G? Stanley, pass the mark. I have problems with my side. What's 5G? What is your name?
I'm Dan.
Dan. What's 5G?
So you have the speed at which your wireless provider.
Let's look it up. What are we getting? What are we getting? Blaze, we just looking? Yes.
The latest generation of cellular mobile communications.
Okay, the latest. Is it available? No. When will it be available? So this year they're starting, and what you need basically, phones will already have 5G in it. And what's so great about it is the ideas. You see how when I spoke it said, how you doing, Rachel? It wasn't in real time, it was a delay. This will then shorten the delay. It's called latency. It'll have lower latency, meaning a lower gap from it. Have you ever downloaded? You're ever going to stream and it's slow in streaming the downloads? That will get better. When you start thinking about the idea of artificial intelligence and all the ways that we're showing videos, that will be better with 5G. But what do we need? They need to have all the stations up, and then the phones and other devices need to be 5G compatible. So in the beginning it'll take a while, but next year it'll be available. We can rest assured it'll be a lot easier. So when I'm doing that, have you ever seen sometimes where they're doing the satellite even on TV? Sometimes there's a delay, they'll wait for a speaker, there'll be like a couple of seconds. That's the latency. So you know, you see that they take, it's not immediate. That's latency, that's 5G. Okay, so we got that part, we learned something today, another portion. Okay, so let's go to courses. And we're gonna try different methods. Today I'm gonna take a break in 45 minutes. I'll do a 10-minute break, and then we'll do the exercises on our laptops for next week. So this way I'll do more lecturing and now, and then we'll do a break for 10 minutes, and then we'll do it. We'll try it, because the other way, when I was doing the marathon, everybody gets overwhelmed and everybody's running out, they're hungry and everything else. So also, think about it, you can bring food and so forth, and then when we have guests, we'll even, we'll get some food for our guests and things, and then we'll share food as well, you know, when they're coming up. So, I have two versions here, right? I have my audit and I have my regular. So in this case, Evelina, what's the difference between my audit and my regular version?
In the audit we create content
Okay, so what's the difference in roles? This is a good test question, is in technology, we have to have roles, right? And what are roles based on? Who can help, Evelina? What are roles based on? Okay, Manal, what's roles based on?
For the question, well, the audit one is the TA. We're basically like TAs in that one.
Yeah.
So we can check what our classmates did and submit it. And the other one is just the student normal one.
Okay, but what's the purpose of the role? Give me a more generic answer, because this is just for our class, but somebody, you're basically gonna set up an entrepreneur, you're gonna be an entrepreneur, you set up your company, say, what role should I give in the company, right? Yes, please.
It's based on what you need to know.
Beautiful, right? The need to know. So put that in your notes here. Roles are based on the need to know. You don't need to know everybody's grade, do you, Manal, in this class?
No.
So I have my grades on that section, I don't need to know that, right? But in this case, we want you to be active and learn from each other. We don't want you to be malicious, but we want you to learn from each other. So I'm gonna download software. And I'm gonna enable. And I'm also going to do chapter 5. I'm going to download, you can download it too, just as I download it, you can download it as well. I'm going to enable, and then if we have time, I'm also, let me do course documents, I'm going to enable automated trading systems. Okay, so you see me here, automated. So this is, some of you were asking what I was doing last week. These are some of the things that I was doing here. Automated algorithm software, trading systems, and robots. How many finance people do I have here? Right, quite a few here. This is going to be really the way to do, business is going to be running in finance and applications using big data. I gave this as part of my talk. Guess what? I'm sharing it with you. So we can do that as well. So I'm going to enable this. And then what do we also, we know we have every week. What else do we have every week? What else? Quizzes, assignments. And people were asking me about the quizzes and the assignment. The quizzes are basically, the quizzes are required to do before the beginning of the class, but the quizzes are mainly for you. A lot of times people, when they get a grade, you know, they'll get a C or a B, they say, well, why didn't I get an A? I did all the quizzes and I did well. Well, of course you did well. You better do well. You get 2 chances. Is it open book? Yes. Can you use the computer? Yes. Then after you do it one time, right? So you know, what do you want from me, right? I helped you, right? And now all of a sudden, and I've been teaching quite a long time here, and I've been teaching in California and also in other places around the world, and I never like to go in the beginning of the semester, I never like to go to the wellness center. Who goes to wellness center? Right? Great to work out. I never like to go because always, Dr. Rush, about my grade. And in all those years, I've never heard one student ever say, you know, Dr. Rush, you gave me a B, but I really deserved the D. Can you change it? I've never had, or I got an A, and I really wasn't, you know, I deserved a B. But I always get it the other way, somehow. So, just sharing. All right, so now I have quiz for next week. We're gonna do data. So we're gonna instead of going to chapter 4, put a note here. We're gonna go to chapter 5 because data is very important. So what do I need to know to make that available to you? Where do I have to go? Because you are the role of what? the student in this section, right? So where do I need to go?
Make available.
What?
Make available.
Make available, right? So I'm gonna just make sure that I'm gonna edit my test options, just to make sure I have everything. I'm gonna check here, open the test in a new window, make available to students, and I'll give you multiple attempts of 2 attempts. So you know, the whole purpose here is that you should get it. Don't just even concentrate, once you concentrate on this, then make sure that you understand all the other concepts in the chapter. And if you don't, what should you do? You should look them up, and at that time, let's submit. All answers, let's put this one in, let's submit, let's see. Let me even do this, let's see what happens. And what should you do on your end? See if you see it. I make mistakes, sometimes I think I check it off and I don't, and guess what, I have a different view than you do. It's there. We're working together as a team, that's how I'm seeing this. It's not just one way, okay? So you help me, I help you, and I'm in everybody's group. Some of you later on will say, you know, maybe you're a little too bossy, but that's it. Okay, we have this part, we have the assignments, and so let's go to the PowerPoint, and in the PowerPoint, what I want to check on is just that we know what's happening. So I'm gonna go to the slideshow, and I'm gonna go from the beginning, and basically, I wanna make sure you should have read the chapter. Some of you may have not, but you'll know next time that you're required to, right? These first couple of times, we're just getting used to what the situation here and what's required. So, software. So I know that basically we want to talk about a couple of different things. We want to talk about what are issues that confront software, what are the major problems that we have with software. You have these PowerPoints, so you can see them however you want to do those. Those are available to you. And we want to differentiate between 2 types of software and figure out what's an operating system and what are various types of application software. So let's make this come to life, okay? So, we've already talked about documentation, right? What have we done in terms of documentation? How can you document anything? Screencasting, we can document, right? What we've done, you can basically document in ways of print screening. You can document in terms of even recording with our collaboration software. So we talked about that. And this is something that we need to know. We've talked about hardware, and right under hardware we call system software. Another term for system software is operating system. Another term for system software is operating system. So what operating systems do you know? And where's your name tag, my dear?
I'm 9.
Everyone. Everyone that doesn't have one, what should you have? You should have a name tag. Simple.
Where'd the marker go?
Where'd the marker go? I gave it to Dan. Dan, what'd you do with the marker? Okay, we got it. So who else needs it? So if you didn't have it, where's yours?
Yeah, I
Gia.
just put it in my other notebook.
Okay, so get share, remember? Sharing is caring. Share a piece of paper from somebody and make yourself a name tag, okay? All right. Bring that over to Gia. Let's help each other. Okay, system software. Be a gentleman, don't throw things at her. Just politely give it to her, right? We'll learn manners here too. That's part of the class, right? We'll learn how to relate to each other, right? So let's not throw things. Okay, so here, system software. What's an operating system? And give me an example of an operating system. Hamza.
Windows, but
Okay, let's first let's say, what is an operating system? And if we don't know, right? Yes, Hira.
Operating system is basically a software that supports a computer's basic functions such as scheduling of tasks, executing applications, and controlling personnel.
Okay, it's basically like a controller. You know, we think about an airport, right? We have those air controllers, right? Basically trying to control what's happening. So as soon as you turn on your device, whether it's your phone, whether it's a PC, or in this case an IoT, whenever it's turned on, it basically, that is embedded in the hardware itself. So you can put in your notes here, systems operating software is embedded in the hardware itself. Usually I can download additional operating systems, but traditionally every device has an operating system built in. Once we have that done, the next question is what? Where's my marker? Did you have the marker?
Yeah, it's almost out though.
It's almost out. Wow. What can we say here? Okay, so
Thank you.
Leah, it's almost out. Leah, do me a favor here. Pass this nicely over to Leah. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Leah.
Leah, okay. So Leah, thank you. And correct me if I'm mispronouncing your name. Okay.
Do you want to fill this?
I wanted, so it's darker, right? You have Leah there and it's so weak, you want to be strong in this class, right? Got it? We want to be in the way, we don't want to be scared. You know, a lot of you look like the deer in the headlights, technology, I don't know what it is. How many people know programming here? At the end of the class, how many people have heard about know what source code is and can read source code? At the end of this class, besides Fasundo, you will all know how to do that. And if I haven't done that for you, I have missed my goal today. Okay, everybody understand that? We will understand source code and you will be able to read source code at the end of the day. Because why am I saying this? You will be working, your job may be not the programmer, but if you're the finance person, how many people are the marketing majors? The marketing people will be working with technology and you'll be all working in terms of a lot of times in the back end with people that know more in technology, and you're needing to know how to communicate with them. You're going to be basically high on the ranks there that you're going to need to know, hey, I don't want them to sell me a bill of goods. If you want to be confident enough and say, oh, I don't know, you do whatever you want. Leah, be so kind and pass that to Evelina, and then she'll pass it to me. Okay? So give me examples of Leah, right? Give me an example of an operating system you know. And the name of one. Do you have a phone? Listen to my question.
Phone operating system?
What is the operating system in your phone? Help her. What phone do you have? What brand name?
iPhone.
An iPhone. iPhone is Apple. So what operating system is iPhone? iOS. Have you ever heard of that? Oh, when I hear, oh, at least we got one thing right today. If I hear, oh, at least we got something, right? So that is iOS is the name of, and look how it says it. You didn't even know. Now you can be impressed. They can't be hoodwinking you, right? When they say iOS, what do you think OS stands for? Everything is easy when you know it. And that's what I'm going to be showing you, that later on, everything is going to be easy when you know it. But you just have to be open-minded to figure this out. So iOS is one. What's another operating system?
Android.
Yes.
Android.
Huh?
Android.
Android. So if you don't have an Apple phone, right, an iPhone, you have another phone, it is Android. Anybody hear of Android? Yes. You've heard of it. That is an operating system. Because what? You have a device and it needs to be able to control getting your applications, using your application, turning it off, having that set up as one. What other ones? What do you have on your laptops?
Windows?
You can have Windows. What else? That's Microsoft. What else? Mac what?
OS.
Mac OS, right? What is OS? Now we know, right? And what do? They have updates all the time, right? Anybody hear about the FaceTime bug? Right, so that's part of, when they did that new one, right, they have to basically correct that, and a lot of times they're going into the operating system and also to the application. The other one is application software. So tell me, what is application software?
Any apps you download from your software.
Okay, so fine, very good. So, and what else? Who can tell me? You can research it, right? What's an application software? And then I'll ask Leah, she's on a roll today, right? We'll ask Leah then, give me an example of one application software that you use. Don't look it up, just think. Do you ever use any software on your laptop? You know that is not acceptable in this class. Just get all your resources together, and I don't know it's not an answer in this class. Maybe in other classes, maybe in life, go out on a date, you say, I don't know. But in this class, right, we're going to be thinking, we're going to get calm and think about it. Don't tell me that you've never opened up that laptop before, right? I know that you've used it before.
Like an app?
Yeah, app. What do you think app stands for?
Like iTunes?
Right? What do you think app is abbreviation of?
Application?
You got it. Right? Just as you think. So all those apps you use are what?
Application software.
And they make a big deal about it. They used to use a different term. You've already been growing up with it all the time. A lot of times, do you ever help your parents on their phone? Do you ever teach your parents about how to download or use anything?
Yeah,
Sometimes, right? So a lot of things you know more. A lot of times in social media, one of the things that a lot of times they want for interns is people that know social media. Have you ever used social media, Leah?
Yes.
Yeah. Why do they do it? Because the other people in the organization don't use it as often. So you have a lot of skills that you're not even aware of, and you'll get more. Okay, so these are the differences of application software, and they talk about this idea of software defects, software licensing, open systems, and there's something called open source software. So guess what, Tiffany? What's my question? What is open source software, and what's the second part of my question? Who cares? And Max, have you met with your group? By the way, as a side, who's in your group? What? They are, okay? They have names, right? Have you met together to help Max? He was having issues on uploading. You need to basically meet together as a group. That's just an aside. Okay, so open source software is what? Who can tell me? What's open source software? Yes. Besides these two, who else? Yes, Dan. The other Dan.
Access it?
What?
Anybody can access it?
Open source software is software that not only anybody can access, but what? What's the key?
It's free.
It's free, and what else is another key?
You can modify.
You can modify it, and you can see the code. Open source software means the source, the coding, you get access to it. Many times other software is proprietary. For instance, iOS, is that open source software or not? No. Who owns it?
Apple.
Apple. Windows, is that open source software? No. Who owns it? Microsoft. So there's a lot of software that even if it's free, it's not necessarily open source that they can modify. Now, for us, many times, even being able to modify it or not, it wouldn't matter because we don't know how to modify it. And what did I say by the end of this session together? You will understand what open source software is, and you will understand how to read it, and even we will take time to figure out how to modify it. It's a big challenge for me, but I can do it. okay? And you can tell me if I didn't do it. So, application software, just like Leah was telling us, it's package suite, it's personal application. Anybody ever use speech recognition software? Yeah. Voice recognition? Yes. All of that, discrete versus continuous speech, all of now our IoT devices, right? Hey Google, Alexa, all of that, hey Siri, all of that is using what? Software that's being able to do it, and they're going to be doing it. We know, of course, personal, right? Leah, you know you've used a word processing before, a spreadsheet before, right? Those for you, you think about apps, well, that's application software, right? Data management, graphics, web authoring, and that's the whole thing. So what's my goal now? Is to look at what? Open source software. Now, let's see here. This is my other one that you have in your, what was it called, automated software. This is not in your book, but guess what? This is important. It's to make a point. Basically, we talk about an algorithm. An algorithm is a specific set of clearly defined instructions aimed to carry out a task or a process. What's going to be happening now and in the future, meaning next week, if I think about digital trends, if I think about it, more and more we're going to have algorithms. Meaning we're going to have defined instructions, and I, as a human being, will design an algorithm, and the computer will implement it, and later on, anybody hear of an AI, Tyler? What's AI stand for?
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence is once the computer has an algorithm, it will start learning. That's why it's called intelligence, and it will improve over time. And you as a human being will give it feedback to see, is it improving in the right direction? Is it changing in the right direction? You understand what I'm talking about? So this is going to be important. Now, in terms of, remember you had to read the article on fintech? Basically, any kind of industry is getting the tech side of it. I'm just giving you an example here because a lot of us are in business to understand that fintech and finance is going to be being disrupted. How's it going to be disrupted? A lot of the tasks done by humans will be done by the computer. So there are going to be jobs that are eliminated. But there'll be new jobs, and what type of jobs will they be, Tyler? There'll be jobs in which to work together with the computer application programs to improve and be more efficient. So the ways of looking at it, of a human being just picking stocks, will no longer exist, but rather there'll be algorithms to do that, and you'll be working many times in groups. And even if you're not programmers, they're working as teams. So I'll have a computer science programmer, I'll have a mathematician, I'll have a physics person, but I'll have a finance person, and I'll have a marketing person all together, and then maybe I'll have somebody that knows really the sector well, or a specialty in working together as teams. And that team can be here, locally, or probably what will it be? It'll be globally, and how will they communicate? They can communicate with types of collaboration software to be working and sharing their screens to see what are we going to do. And once I get an algorithm in the market, do you think that algorithm is going to be static? No, of course, because the market changed. The market changes minute by minute, let alone what was this year the market versus what was a year ago versus what was 2 years ago. and what's it gonna be in the future. So this area, automated trading, sometimes they call this person that does the programming, they call him quant traders or quant programmers.
People who conduct what?
Basically, people that are programming these automated trading systems. The starting salary, everybody hear me? The starting salary of a new quant programmer can be $250K plus commissions on how well the strategies work. Beginning salaries. But it's not easy, right? They wouldn't be paying that so much, but it's like a whole team effort. So if you see this, you can see it. So what are they using? Is they're using what we call platforms or LEA application software that can run some of these programs. They have built-in models and built-in functions specified to trading, and they also have programming languages behind them. They have something called also HFT, an acronym that you don't leave in this class is like you weren't in this class, right? So HFT, high frequency trading, means what? Instead of trading at once a day, that high frequency is what? Not 5 trades a day, but it may be in 1 second, many, many trades. As soon as you blink your eyes, they've already put in several trades. And in that case, a lot of times it's so important the speed. Remember I talked about latency? The servers, their servers, it's not enough that we're here. They almost, a lot of times, they're right next to NASDAQ. You know where NASDAQ is in New York? Anybody been to New York, right? Where NASDAQ is, they'll put their servers right there. Because it has to be so fast. But that's like high frequency trading. Have you seen like a lot of times the market will go down a number of hundreds of points at a time? A lot of times it's because close to 90% of all trades now done on the exchanges are done by computers, by these algorithms. Not somebody like James sitting there and like, Dr. Rush, what do you think we should invest in now? You know what I'm doing? It's not like the individual traders, but they are just executing those algorithms that people write. And guess what? They're basically, a lot of them are having the same conditions, when to sell, when to buy, when to short. What's a short? Anybody know? What is it, Matt? Yeah, basically I'm betting when the stocks are gonna go down. Just like I can make money when they go up, I can make money when they're going down. That's a short. Okay, everybody with me so far? Okay, so these are the terms that you need to know of high frequency, and we'll go over it more in detail. But that was some of the things that I was talking about in this, when I did the keynotes at this conference. So, I can even go to, so if you want to, let me go back. There's a platform that we're going to use, and we're going to use it next week. Where are we meeting? In the lab, right, in 204, right? Also, look around, and if your group member, somebody in your group is not here, anybody that has somebody missing in their group? Who? Everybody? Nobody? Everybody's here? Where's the list? So I have 39, I have 35 students.
I haven't signed
What?
yet. I haven't signed yet.
You haven't signed, so pass that to me. Pass that on. So gently and politely, thank you. Okay, So there's a company, there's a platform called ninjatrader.com. You can go to that now. This is a platform, and it's also a brokerage house. So you could even set up an account with them, and it basically says uncover your opportunity, get started with free advanced charting, market analysis, and then trade simulation. Why I love this is it's trade simulation. We're going to be using that because we're simulating. We're not going to our bank account and actually trading. As a matter of fact, I had in one of my classes, there's another platform called TradeStation. Anybody hear about that? There's a company called TradeStation in Plantation here in South Florida, and it was started by 2 UM alums. I'm always happy when an alum has a job, and this they started their own company. They're alums, they've already sold the company, but they started up. What do you think they majored in? Take a guess. Business tech. No. Any other idea? Finance. Seems like it was. No. Any other ideas?
Entrepreneurship.
Seems like that, but no. Music. They were music majors, right? And there is some kind of correlation. Anybody ever seen that? If you go to, I go to a lot of tech conferences, and even in the beginning, what they usually do for entertainment, you know, with a bunch of nerds, what do you kind of do for entertainment? Is basically sometimes they would give out, these large companies would just put out instruments, and everybody would just jam together and take out instruments. So there's a correlation there between programming and music, and that's what they started. But this is another one, and why do I like it? How much do you think I can get a simulation trading program to be able to use? It's free. So I like this program, and the only problem with this program is it only works in an OS called Windows. So if you have a Windows machine, anyone have a Windows machine available to you? If you have a Windows machine, download NinjaTrader 7 and NinjaTrader 8. If you can also create a virtual machine in your laptop where you can have Windows. But for next week, that's why we're going to the lab, because the lab has Windows machines and has it installed. So you don't have to worry about it. But I want to show you this because it's a great position to learn what open source is and what coding is, and how you would basically then, what do quant traders do, and how you can do this. So that's NinjaTrader, but what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use NinjaTrader. I'll start with NinjaTrader 7. There's advantages to do 8 over 7. 8 does some more techniques for optimization. I don't have to pick a lot of stocks and so forth. So let's see if it will come up. And it comes up here, and those of you that are really want to do this, you remember we're going to talk about projects. I'll talk about projects in a couple of weeks with you. But those that are interested, is your projects will be able to be broad, and some of you may want to even do this for your projects to get more involved in it. So they have a number of tutorials involved. Doesn't this look like they're using basically screencasting, right? So a lot of times they're basically using screencasting to do this. But I'm just going to go through this a bit, and I'm just going to close these tips. So what I'm going to be talking about is data. Next week you have the next chapter you have on data and database management system, and that's the key. Is anybody here about the word big data? Right? What have you heard, Dan?
Like just certain companies that will gather the data and then like transform it into insights and sell to different companies.
Right, and what is your major, Dan?
Finance and marketing.
Finance and marketing. Marketing does it all the time, right? It's the whole idea. Think about Amazon. Have you ever gotten in where they say they recommend those people that buy these things will recommend? How do they know that? right? How do they know what to sell you, right? The whole idea is how do they know what to target, right? Is all based on big data, large amounts of data. And I just want to show that coming to light, and what's better than the stock market to figure out that's big data. Why is that big data, Dan? Is I have all that data that's available to me. It has all those ticks there that it's really a great way to find insights on it. So in order to connect, I need a data feed to connect to. For NinjaTrader, we'll be doing this next week, but I'll just show you now, is basically what we need to do is we need to connect to a data feed. And when I look at the data feed that I'm going to connect to, I can use an external data feed. So I could do something like Ameritrade that will give me tick-by-tick data. If I open up an account, I don't even have to put any money into it. Or I could do futures data or things like that. But I want to do something free. So Fuming, if I want to do something free, what should I connect to? Who can help them? Yes, Jacob. Kinetic and day free. So, very good. So I'm just going to do this and just think about it. Doesn't matter. I'm going to connect kinetic and the day free. I'm going to connect and I want to see down here. You see here it says connecting, right? I want to make sure here that, and I hear that sound here, that it meant it was connecting. And now I'm just going to go to File, New, and I'm going to go to a chart. And now I have to pick a symbol. I can do many different ones that I have. I can have defaults. I can do the Dow. I can do Forex. What's Forex? Anybody know? What's Forex? What's Forex? Foreign exchange, right? That I can do then foreign exchanges. But I'm just going to pick a stock. So you were supposed to look, also your homework, you were supposed to look at what were good sectors to invest in. And among those investors, then you're supposed to pick out some stocks. So let's figure out a stock that we can use.
PayPal.
Huh?
PayPal.
Okay. What were you just talking about, Leah? What operating system do you know?
What?
What operating system? What phone do you have?
Apple.
Apple. Let's use Apple. Okay, we got it. Okay. So we got to figure out what's the symbol of Apple. Leah, you don't even know how much you know, right? Okay, APPL. So I'm going to put the symbol. You can use any symbol, and that's what you're going to do. APPL. You'll be doing AA. I have two. AAPL. Okay, and I'm going to say new. Right? And now I have, what I have here is there's something called attributes. Characteristics. In programming, there's something called object-oriented programming. You can put this in your notes. There's something called object-oriented programming, and all that means is I have an object, and what I have is I have some methods to it, and I have some properties to it. And in this case, it tells me that the type is day, because it's end of day. You see that under type value. So I'm just going to say, okay. Okay. And I should then, see I have daily, and this looks like this is Apple. And if I look here at the trend, right, if it's easy for me just looking at it to know what. Maybe right about here, let me get my crosshair. You see here I have this. Let me get my cursor and I'll use a crosshair, right? I know probably, what should I have done, right? If I bought here and I got out here, what should I have done? Should I have bought or what? It went down, right? What should I have done then? I should have bought right here and get out here?
No.
Right? What should I have done if I was right here? Huh?
Sell.
So sell or short, right? I could sell or short, but it's easy when I know what happened, right? And then I look like a genius. Then I look like a multi-billionaire, right? And then I probably wouldn't be standing here with you, but I really would, even if I were. Okay. And then but it looks like it got here like the bottom, and now it looks like what? Looks like it's trending up a little bit, but knowing this in advance. So what you need to understand here, folks, is there's something called strategies. What it does is it's basically what quant programmers and what people are involved in is they want to write a strategy, and based on the strategy, then the computer will buy based on a signal or sell or short. And that's the key. The key is not to find a programmer to program that code. We can go all around the world, and if we know what a good algorithm is, we can get programmers to program it. What's difficult is to find a good strategy. So even if you're not the programmer, if you can keep on doing it, and then you want really almost the artificial intelligence, then the computer to keep on improving. So the next part, what I'm going to do is, in this case, they're built-in strategies, meaning that NinjaTrader comes up with a lot of times. Let me take this out. NinjaTrader comes up with built-in strategy, and you can also download other strategies, and they're companies, and I'll maybe invite them here, they're companies that will sell their strategies. This one, you see this RQ Newton? This is a company in Coral Gables called Rios Quant. His last name is Rios. And guess what and why does he call it quant? Because he does quant trading. He's based in Coral Gables, and he's come to class, and he's also hired some students if they wanted to be interns for him. But he does this, and what does he do? Every morning, starting at 8 o'clock or 8:30, he broadcasts, just like I broadcast my classes, he broadcasts how he's setting up using his program, and people can be subscribed to his broadcast, and he gives 2-week trials, and then they lease his program, and that's how he makes a living. Plus he's a hedge fund. But you can kind of see how you can use this new technology. He has people from Europe, right? He can have people all over, subscribing to his process. But in this case, I want to use the samples. I'm going to use the sample MA crossover. So I'm going to go sample MA crossover. I'm going to say new. And what in programming is, you see right up here, it says enabled. You see that? Right up here it says enabled. The value says right now what? What does the value say? Kayla, what does the value for enabled say?
False.
False. In computer programming, you can either be false or what else? True. Look at this class, right? So I can do false and true, but I want to enable the strategy, Kayla. Have you ever programmed before? Okay, now you will. What should I change it to?
True.
True. I change it to true, and then I apply, and it says, although you have order confirmation enabled, orders generated by a strategy will be submitted without confirmation. What that means is, guess what? The computer, if we had set this up with a bank account, the computer would buy and sell on its own. You gotta be careful, because I could lose money even faster than if I just did the trading, right? Because it'll, in the blink of the eye. I'm gonna say then, okay, Kayla, and now I'm gonna say okay. And then it says okay, and now I have my, now, just so you know, this is a sample moving averages crossover. So I have two moving averages. I have one in solid green and I have one in yellow. One takes moving average. Anybody know what a moving average is? I'm going to just do a little bit more, okay? Anybody know what a moving average is? What's a moving average? Who can tell me? What's an average?
A mean.
A mean, right? An average is a mean. A moving average is that I keep on moving over time and taking the average of it. So I'll do like 10 days, I'll take the average. Every 10 days, I'm going to take the average. You understand that, Leah? So I'm going to take 10 days every time the average, and I'll have a slow-moving average and a fast-moving average. So maybe one of them, it'll be every 5 days, the other one will be every 10 days. And these are examples of these moving averages, and what the strategy says, when one solid line moving averages is below, I'm going to sell short. You see this? Selling short. What does selling short mean, Dan?
You want the stock.
What? But not get rid of it means I'm betting that it's going to go down. It's really I'm borrowing the stock and then I'm going to give it back. So it's not getting rid of it. It's basically I'm betting the market's going down. In simple terms. It's a little bit more complicated. And notice the dotted line is what color?
Green.
Green. So you think it's profitable or not profitable? You see the color green. Profitable. So how could it be profitable if the market went down? It's because I'm betting that the market went down. And notice at this point, it did quite well there. And then, if I move backwards, notice right here, this pink dotted line, do you think that means profitable or not profitable? Not profitable, a loser. Right? Because what? I wanted to buy, but what happened? It was going down. I bet the wrong way. And here, it tells me to sell short, but what happened to the market? Okay, it went up. Then if I go back here, right, it says buy right here. You see this? Buy right here at 100 and 191, and I got out right here, so it's green, so it meant that what? It went in the right direction. I should have maybe gone out a little bit earlier, right? Because I made the losses. Then later on you can change it. But everybody understand kind of it. And when I'm going backwards in time, put in your notes, that's called back testing. When I take a strategy and go backwards in time, that's called back testing. Like I'm going back and testing. And why is that important? Before I put my money into an automated algorithm, I want to see as if how well did that algorithm do. If it's a loser, guess what? I can lose on my own. Right? I want to be, if I can't be a winner, I want the algorithm to be a winner. And it's going to be a winner 100% of the time? No. But I want to increase the chances that I'm profitable. Everybody with me so far? That's back testing. And then later on what we'll learn forward walk or forward testing, because what's important is once I know I have my back testing, what do I want to know? Is it going to be good in the future? We see Apple now is going up, but what's going to happen on Thursday, Friday next week? All of a sudden there could be some news or something, and something can change. That's really the key, Allie, right? Is I want to be not looking back all the time in the rear view. I want to see where I'm in the future, and I want to reduce those errors. Okay. So G is telling me that I better hurry up. So, what I want to do now is a couple of things. I just right-clicked here, and you see here strategy performance. I got strategy performance, and I look at historical in real time, and it tells me how well this strategy did. In this case, how well it did for this past year. And it says all my trades is the amount I did. My long trades were $45, and my short trades were $1,273. So what were better, my shorts or my longs? Short. So maybe what I'll want to do, put this in your notes, is I can modify this strategy, and what do you think I would modify it to? Is to eliminate what? In this strategy, just don't even do the buys. Just do the shorts. Right, Dan? Because the shorts did so much better, why even just do $45? It wasn't worth it. You see how many times it said buy and it really went down? And this may be good for Apple that had those issues, right? Does anybody see now Apple in China, right, isn't doing as well, right? There's all these issues here that they're saying now, and my Chinese friends can help me here, that it's basically not doing as well. The economy, it's slowing down a bit. They're not buying as many, so they're saying that they're suffering. Got it. So what did I need to teach you is the source code, right? So we're going to learn what source code is and bring that up to life here. So I'm going to go back so everybody understand these charts, and you see how easy it is. And not only that, what I'll show you next time is what, once I have this, just so you know here, the historical, right? And then what I can do is later on, you see the grid here? What does it say I can do now? Take this and go do what with it?
Export to Excel.
Export to Excel. And then I can have every day, I could have my performance, and I could have it done automatically for me to give me a way to see how well is my strategy doing. So easy, just export it to Excel. So these are the kind of things that we'll go over next week together. But I want to do the source code. So, I'm going to go to Tools, and a programming language, another way, the programming language here in this trading platform is called Ninja Script. Ninja is the name of the program, remember Ninja software or Ninja Trader. And script, anybody hear of JavaScript? It's like a programming scripting language. They just call it Ninja Script. It's similar really to C#, but it has built-in strategy. And where am I going to look? I wanted the sample MA crossover, so it's right here, and I'm going to say OK. So now I'm going to try to edit the Ninja script or the source code of what the sample moving average. This is the source code. Let me make this big for you. And we'll show you that everybody's been talking to us and we can read this. Okay, so let's do this. Let me do the font. And let me make the font, let me make it, let's see. Okay. Let me make it a little bit smaller, right on the font. So instead of that, let's do 20. Okay. This is in English, right? So the source code is the programming language, and I'll show you that you'll understand it. The programming language, and anytime you see the 2 or 3 backslashes, those mean, you put in your notes, this is source code, the backslashes mean comments. It means it's only for humans to read. The computer doesn't understand it and doesn't care. That's for humans to read. So you can see this is about the simple moving average crossover strategy. And then they talk about some variables. We're not going to worry about that. There's some other code here. But listen here. Anybody know how to read right to left in some languages?
Yes.
In this way, this is the same thing. You remember we had two graphs. One was green and one was orange. You remember that? The solid graph. This is basically orange color is the SMA. That was my simple moving average. The fast one was in orange. Green color of that simple moving average slow is the green one. You remember that? So we can read that. The next part, go ahead and add it, and on the calculate on bar close, you remember, Kayla? True? That's all. If we didn't want to calculate on bar close, if we didn't want to do it, what would you change the true to?
False.
False. That's the whole big shakes. Okay, but now this is where the algorithm is. This is the logic of the program. If my fast crosses above my slow, what should I do? Enter a long trade or buy. And this is a function that is built into NinjaTrader. Just like you have built-in functions in Excel, NinjaTrader has built-in functions that deal with what? With trading. So it's entering a long or remaining, I want to buy. Else, if it crosses below, what should you enter? Dan, what should you enter?
Short.
Short. How well was the strategy, Dan? You're on a roll. How well was the strategy for Apple? Was it better the shorts or the longs?
Better the short.
Short. So if you wanted to modify this code, what would you eliminate? The if enter long, and you would just have if it crosses, just enter short. So you could go into the code and just eliminate that part, recompile it, and you would just have a new strategy. That's what source code is. And that's what they say is open source. If you were being like that Rios Quant in Coral Gables, he's selling his strategy or leasing his strategies. Does he want everybody to see the source code? No. So he compiles it in a way that people can't see it. But since they're samples based in the thing, you can see it. And other places I'll show you, other people have open source strategies that you can use. And a lot of times they use it for different purposes. Sometimes these strategies work for 6 months and then they don't work as well and then they'll work again and so forth. So there are a lot available to you. So if you wanted to make it a business on it, so Dan, if you had a group of people, then you have this one and you say, hey, they really work well for the tech companies. Now we can sell it. Then you could then, in a way, lock it down that other people couldn't see your source code. There's ways in which people could, figure it out, but, the average person wouldn't bother. And they said, you know what, Dan, I'll just pay you, $1,000 every month. If I'm making 10, I'll give you 1,000 or whatever. So that's source code. That's all there is to it. Did I accomplish that, my goal? So let's take a break, and then we'll come back and Excel, and I'll give you your next assignment for next week. We'll go and we'll do that. So let's do a 10-minute break, get everything, and then we're back to this one. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to do 2 things next week. We'll meet in the lab. I'll do some more Excel, but we'll do the NinjaTrader too. So you can see it. And those of you that are interested, you can focus on getting more into that for your projects. And understand, and you see that there's a lot of tutorials there. Even if you want to write, you don't even know how to write code, there's built-in wizards. So you kind of set what are your goals, what you want to do, and it will write the code for you. And you can do that, and then you can get, and I'll show you, you can download other ones. Okay? So let's then meet let's start at 8 o'clock, 3 minutes to, and then we can go to the restroom, grab something to drink, and then we'll go. We'll see how that went. See, I'm sorry that it took long. But you were a good timekeeper. Yeah. No, it's good. We'll see how and you'll see whether it is. Sometimes I think the break may be good. Hamza, do you have a Windows now laptop? So you can even download and you have one too here, or you have Mac? Both?
Windows.
Windows, good. So go to ninjatrader.com and download 7 and 8. Ninja Trader 7 and 8, and then what'll be good is then you can even, later on, you may want to even do your project on that. And there's a lot of videos about that, beginning, they have like a whole number of tutorials. Okay? So we'll do the homework together. What we have. And what is your major?
Accounting and business tax.
Okay, so it's great.
Yeah.
So it's combining the both. And what is yours here?
Accounting and finance.
So perfect. You know what I mean? So you think about that as really the future when you think about it.
Yeah.
Once you do that, you can even take additional. I'm doing a health informatics class next semester. So you can, when you have it, sign up for that, and that will be, you can do your projects, just looking at the health sector then, like healthcare stuff. So you continue what you're doing now, and just do it for,
Like even for this assignment, like for every other estimates, healthcare was the best stock.
right, so you can see, so I'm just saying, you can see that is, especially in the United States, that's such a growing area and using tech, right?
Yeah.
Everything personalized medicine, the whole area is just huge.
Ever expanding.
Yeah, it's around the world, right? And using artificial intelligence, radiologists anymore, they're not going to be radiologists, the computer will be examining the radiologist,
For sure.
all those people.
Telemedicine.
What? Telemedicine, but even with telemedicine, they'll be having computers. You have some kind of mole on your hand, dermatology, the computer will look at that and say whether it's,
Evaluate the symptoms.
perfect. Glad that you can, it worked out for you.
You're getting it wrong.
No, I got that. 20 years old. It's hard. I would say. That one amazing. Oh, I've always seen it. This one's disgusting. I don't like their chocolate chips. Their chocolate chips should be like
Yeah, I need a battery for my lapel mic. Yeah, I need a battery for my lapel mic. 9B. Okay, maybe bring some more. There's some here, but it looks like. Thanks. Bye. Okay, so how are we doing? Yeah? So let's start. Waiting for my mic. We're broadcasting here, it's still going, right?
Yes.
Okay, and here too, we're seeing well? Let's see here. Perfect. Can we see the very top? Maybe it'd be good, yeah. Go back there so we can see the top, you know when I'm writing it? That'd be good to see the top of the screen. A lot of times I go to the URL. Okay. Everybody's here who remain, the diehards are with me. Okay, so we want to, let's do this so hopefully we can do this assignment. So hopefully you can do this with me and that way most of your assignment can be done for next week, and then you'll do some modifications and you know what's happening here. And then make sure that those of you that aren't in the group, we know that everybody knows that we have. Anybody have a class before this in the building? Can you do me a favor for me before you go to the School of Business? Put a note on the board saying that can you put a note to yourself or remind yourself to tell everybody that we're going to be in Stubblefield 204. What time? It's a regular time, right? When classes begin, 6:30. You know, at 6:30. Okay, folks, let's work on this, and this way we can get out of here, right? Need to stretch or something, you know what I mean? Okay, so let's think about it. We have data. We talked about the sectors that we're going to do. So what each of us want to do is we want to do the same thing. Is I want to forecast what's going to be in the future. And we'll start doing a strategy. We'll do it manually. There's no way that we can tell the computer what it needs to do unless we know manually what we want to do, and then it can get more improved. Okay, are these good? Okay, they're not, okay. So if you can make sure you put them in the right way. Look how it is. Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming out. Okay. So you remember when we looked at Ninja Trader, we did external feed. Everybody remember that? What is your name in the very back? Cynthia. So what do I need? I need a data feed, right? So where can I get data? I want to get end of day data. Where can I get it? Everybody understand my question? What's my question, Kate?
Where you can get end of day data.
Yeah.
Ninja Trade.
Hmm?
Yeah. For Ninja Trade.
No, I'm not doing, we're gonna do Excel.
Google Finance.
Google Finance, Yahoo Finance, right? They can give us things. So let's go to Yahoo Finance and we can look at this. By the way, before I do anything here, is this my word? I'm in group 0, right? So before we even do this, I just want to show you is in group 0, I made myself a folder called FinTech XLSX. So you can do the same thing. Go to we're going to be doing the audit area, right? If I go back to group course documents, you see group 0, I put myself in there. And I have something called FinTech XLSX. You can make yourself one. And I have examples here. I have one as an XLSX spreadsheet, and I have another one as a doc spreadsheet. And in my doc spreadsheet, in my doc sheet, I just I just saved it, and I have some notes here of kind of how to what to do, insert line with markers, and so forth. So you can use some of this later on as a way to do it, but let me just show you in the beginning. Let me go here. I have to enable editing. Basically, is I downloaded some data, and you see here, this graph here, this is one of the graphs here, and you see these dotted lines here, the red and the blue, you see that, Kayla? That's telling me what the forecast is going to be in the future. And in this case, the red looks like, the dotted line means what? That it looks like it's going to do what? Up, down, or, huh? Yeah, it's going down, and the other one looks like a little bit. So I can have different models, and basically based on my different models, if they're in agreement, I can basically have more confidence of what to do. But let's go ahead and let's try some things. So I'm going to go, the first step, you can put in things into your notes, but the first thing that you want to do is for next week's assignment, you want to go to Yahoo Finance, right? So I'm going to go to Yahoo Finance. Yeah. I can't hear you. So let's. Yeah, my black or my white? In the front or the back? Okay, let's see. Are they broadcasting? Says live. Both of them are live. Okay. So we'll see. Somebody's watching, so we can see. All right. So Yahoo Finance. So they both said live. So we got here Yahoo Finance. And in Yahoo Finance, we got here, let's go to finance.yahoo.com. And we can search or whatever. Let's do AAPL. I'm going to do AAPL. You'll do another company. You know what I mean? But I'm going to do mine, AAPL, and I'm going to go search for it. And I see that today it's kind of, you can see here it's doing different ones, but I want to get historical data. Everybody there? See Finance Yahoo, just pick a stock symbol, and I'm going to historical data. Help your neighbors. they get stuck, you can get stuck. I'm gonna go to historical data. And in historical data, I got February 6th. You can do a number of things. I do like 30 days, you know? And in this case here, I do maybe here, I'll do here, maybe even, let me even do, I can even just do 3 months, we'll see, here, done. Right, I have my data here, and then I have download my, let me apply, and I want daily. And let me see if I can download my data. And I downloaded my data. Yeah. I don't know where it's live on both of our both of our phones. Oh, okay, good. Thanks. Yeah, we'll flip it. Okay, great. Thank you for the feedback. Bye. All right. So, what I want to do, everybody got that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what this is, just so you know here, it downloaded it when I was here. What happened to the date? So beautiful, great question. So what I want to do is, I want to do a couple of things with the date here. I just can double click here and I can get my date, but what I want to do with my date, if I take the whole column here, I want to format my cells, and I want to go to date. You can put in your notes, I want to go to date, and formatting my cells, I want to have the days of the week. Because guess what? Saturday and Sunday is the NASDAQ trading? No. So I want to see what days are. So I want to check something that says like Wednesday, March. So I can have my dates of Wednesday. So I'm going to click on Wednesday. And I'm going to say okay. Okay. And then also, I want to insert a couple of lines. And I want to do a couple of things. Is one, I want to have the URL in which I was in, right? I want to copy the URL here so people can find it. Now, just so you know, everybody knows that if I go to, everybody knows that in Excel, if I go to the end of the line, if I put the cursor to the end of the line, and I press enter, what will happen? I'll get it to be a linkable link, right? Everybody knows that? Now we know it. Everything's easy when you know it. Okay? So I have that in, and then I also want to do the symbol, which is what? AAPL. And then what I want to do too with my date, I want to do my date as X equals, that's going to be my X, and my open is going to be my Y. And my Y equals is going to be my open. So I can do a number of different dates. In this case, I can even take out, if I just wanted, for instance, my February here, I could, in this case, if I wanted to, let me just eliminate some of this. So I'll just go from, let me just go from January. So I'm just going to, let me just, okay, so I'm just gonna go from, January. So I'll go from January 4th through, February 5th. And then I can extend it, and then let me just highlight, basically I'll highlight my, all the way down. Okay, so I highlighted my dates. Let me make this larger so you can see it. Right. I've highlighted my dates. And now, remember I have on my word here, right? I want to go, once I have my data here, I want to go insert, and then I want to insert my liner area chart and line with markers. So, at this point, what do I want to do? I want to go to insert, and at this point, I have my chart, and then I have my line right here, and I have, in this case, I'm going to do my lines. You see here where I have my lines, my 2D lines, and I want to get my line with markers. You can do it a number of different ways, but I like this way so I can see my x-axis. You can see my x-axis where I have Friday, January 4th through Tuesday, February 5th, right? And then when I have, and then I even have my APP, apple, my y is equal. And now, once I have this, I just have my x and my y. And now what I want to do is, it's marked that. I can just put my cursor on one of the markers. I can go to my command or my right click, and I want to add a trend line because I want to know how it's going to trend. So I'm going to go to my trend line. And this is being recorded, right? So I'm adding my trend line, and I want two trend lines. Put this in your notes. I want two trend lines. I want a linear, and I want a polynomial. What's the problem with a linear for the trend, for the stock market?
It's too flexible.
Do my stocks go in a linear fashion? No. But I'm going to start with my linear. And in the way that I start with my linear, I'm going to mark linear. And I want to display the equation on the chart. And I want to display my R squared. Also, what I want to do, you remember what I said, I can go backward in time, but what's more important for forecasting? To go backward or to go forward? Go forward. And also, so notice what I did. I made it linear. I made it display equation on chart, display R square on the chart, and now I want to go 5 periods forward. And let me change the color. And I'll change the color to, for linear, I'll just do it maybe this dark red, so it kind of stands out. Everybody with me? And now, I know that I have it, the equation there for my trend. Now, what is it, the future looks like in what direction? Up. The R square is what number? 0.79. Now we'll talk about next week issues of problems with this, but an R square, anybody know what an R square is? Let me just tell you what an R square, we're going to talk about what an R square is. An R square value, you can put this in your notes, an R square value goes from 0 to 1. 1 is 100% reliability, 0 is no reliability. You think I should ever get to 100%? No, because it's nothing. If I get 100%, I know my model is completely wrong. Because it's impossible to be forecasting at 100%, right? But this is the model I have. And then my polynomial, how will I get my polynomial? I'll put my cursor on one of the points. I'll right click, and where should I go?
Add a trend line.
Add a trend line. I'm going to add a trend line, and instead of linear, what am I going to choose? Polynomial. And as I choose, and then with the polynomial, what am I going to choose? I'm going to say display equation on chart, and also display R square on chart. And let me move it a little bit so I can see what it's displaying here, right? But in this case, you could even see on the 2, is my R square even better? Add trend line, and what I could do in this case, instead of my polynomial being 2, I could even go to maybe, in this case, maybe I'll go to the 6th order, and I'll go display equation, and then I'll also go 5 periods forward. And let me make the color. What color do I want? I want, in this case, let me make it instead of blue. I don't know, let me make it bright green.
What does order mean again?
Order just means the number of arguments that I'll have in my equation. So it's going to be more complicated, but notice in my order here, I have 96, right? So I can basically, I'll eliminate this one, and let me just delete this one. So I have these 2 equations. So I have this equation, and I have this equation, right? Which one looks simpler to understand? This one or this one? The linear, right? Because I'm just having my x, right? And my x, and then I just have my y. So I just have one argument. I just have my slope, and I have one argument. Look at this. This is to the 6th power, 5th power, 4th power. You see that, Kayla? So it's more expensive. Now notice what happens here. My polynomial is telling me what forecast? Going down, and this is going maybe slightly up. So I know my 2 models are not in conjunction. What I'll want to do then is basically I can then copy, even in this case I can copy then my formulas to another. I copy them, and I can copy them and put them in a way that I can then compare my R squares, and I can see that The improvement is how much, what percentage?
13%.
So 13%. So I can put in my formula here, what is the percent differences, and then what we'll do is one is saying it's going up and one is saying it is slightly almost the same in 5 periods, and the other one, what we can do in 5 days. What's today? Wednesday? So we can think about Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday even. We can see before we even get to class how well did my model predict. And what do we want? Is every day. I don't want to do this every day. Do you?
Like set up like
Like a system that it would go, let's say if we were just trading Apple, we would go every day and add another, whatever it is, you could go to Yahoo Finance or whatever, do it every day, bring up the models, and then later on we could get it more sophisticated and it would go through all the stocks and find what worked it best.
if those like software shifts, then like we don't need any more people working on Wall Street. Basically, what are they doing? Just looking at it.
They'll be creating the models.
So now we have to be able
There'll be combinations. That's what it is. There'll be new jobs. Just like in medicine, I predict there won't be that many radiologists. The computer will be reading. Dermatology will be checking. I have a mole in my finger, on my hand. You're looking at it instead of going to the lab, the computer then will then take its images and say, this is suspicious, and maybe we'll work hand in hand.
So, Professor, if we use a polynomial, like use 30 orders, like all of the orders that we have, will the result be more accurate or?
I'll talk about it next week, because these violate a lot of assumptions.
Oh,
So this one, you see how high this is? What percentage did I have the R square at?
92%.
It's almost too good to be true. You know, that 92% of the time I'm correct,
Wow, that's a lot.
that's a lot, right? So I'll show you next week that we'll talk about the differences, right? So what I want you to do for next week is to pick, each of you, you can work together in a group, but each of you pick at least one stock, a couple of stocks, and see how well it is, and then before Wednesday, check to see how well the model did, how far off you were, right? And in this case, was it the polynomial correct? Or if I have like one that may say that it's the linear and the polynomial going the same direction, maybe I have more confidence. So basically, what you can do, let me show you an example. So what you can do is basically, what you can do is something like this, where you have the poly, the linear, and the difference, like the 13%. And see what it is, and then later on I'll teach you, I'll teach you why this violates some of the assumptions. We'll do something with some other models, and then some of you may even want to do a project where you're automating your Excel. That every morning what happens is you're getting data from Yahoo, you're running the models, and then you get the results. So Evelina, what's going to be is there's going to be, what is your major?
legal studies.
Legal studies. Even when you're thinking about legal studies, there's now going to be then attorneys. They're not going to be, when we talked about the reg tech and so forth, the computer is going to be taking a lot of the automation around, and there'll be a lot of things being done. The briefs and everything will be written by the computer. What you'll be doing is checking and writing the rules for the software. Or you'll be getting the clients and speaking to the clients, right, on what are the right strategies to do. But in legal, the whole legal area now, they're using a lot of AI and artificial intelligence to look, first of all, start with all the busy work, with the filings and so forth, and then there can be ways in which you can automate that as well, and trying to, there's another company, what they're doing now, they're a Miami-based company, what they're doing is looking on what are the probabilities that will win the case, depending on certain judges. You know, so there's so many things even in the legal area. Show me one area and I'll show you, it's almost an application where AI is being invested into it. So this whole area, this is kind of called fintech, meaning that all this area is going to be automated. First though, you have to know what you want to look at. So it's not like just an open black box, oh, the computer's thinking. Oh, it'll figure it out. Somebody has to program it. Somebody has to give it the rules in the beginning. Somebody has to try to tell it that testing the hypothesis, give me a lot of data and see what happens in certain positions there. And it still requires, it's getting easier, this modeling, you know, but it still requires humans in the background trying to figure it out and see, hey, now all of a sudden, you know, the computer doesn't realize that all of a sudden we invaded Iran, or who knows what we're going to do, you know, in the next couple of times. All of a sudden, you know, Venezuela, everybody's seen that mess. Maybe we're going to go to war with Venezuela, you know, the oil crisis, you know, and then it'll be, who knows, Russia, whatever. This whole world is a little cuckoo, you know. So in those cases, then, we need human beings to say, hey, wait a minute, I don't want to take that trade. I want to get out, you know, because everybody's going to get out at the same time. Everybody's going to be crashing so quickly, so the market can crash too, you know.
So like, can like for those professional like softwares that we have like on like Wall Street, like can they, like for example, can they make such predictions? Like, for example, like Mattel is like making I don't know Hot Wheels and like, and then like they're a big part of it is like the metal that's being produced, like for example, like in Utah, and like that factory collapsed.
Right.
Like, can the system like?
Yeah, well, not even the system. Think about the system now can read headlines.
Oh, okay.
So you can do sentiment analysis, Twitter feeds. There's now called stock tweets. You know, basically tell me what even, you know, the market psychology is there, so it may not even be real, but if the whole market thinks this is not good, what do you think is going to happen with the stock? You know, everybody wants to get out of it, and that's why some people are making money. They say, hey, I can make money when the market is going down, right, Max? That we were talking about before, when the market's going down, if Max kind of feels like everybody's over excited to it, he can kind of be the first and then get out. You know, it tends to, now they're saying the market is what they call mean reversion. Everybody knows what the mean is, right? So mean reversion is everybody gets too excited, goes to the extremes, and then it comes back. You know, it's like people overreact. It's almost, there's another thing, that's why I also call myself the psycho. It's not also because I'm like that, but I'm looking at research on the psychology of trading. You know, even what are traders doing? Sometimes traders get overexcited when they see, you know, everybody's doing, and Jake says, hey, I don't want to be left out, let me sell. You know, when he gets overly excited, and other people like Max could be, hey, I'm not going to be overly excited, I'll wait. You know, he's more calm trader, you know. I was going to do neuroscience. Anybody see now with the brains and so forth? I was going to do, I wanted to work with the neuroscience department here, see the ways that people are traders, you know, hook them up. We can put a little hat on them and see, you know, in terms of their brain. There's so many areas in which you can think about this. This is so complex, Evelina, that you can think about it, and then you can have just certain people that's all they focus in on, and those certain things with certain companies or certain ways in terms of commodities. You know, there's futures, there's so many areas here where they're just doing, or Forex, you know, they're looking at it. Or just there's some people, they get in the morning at 9 o'clock and they're out at 9:30 and that's it. You know, or even when the beginning of the market is at 9:30, they're out at 9:31. You know, so there's so many avenues. But I wanted to show you that we think about AI, we think about the machine, and like you said, can the computer do it? The computer isn't going to do it. they have to have people like you guys to be able to do it, and you work with teams, and you say, well, I don't know, but if I start knowing a certain industry, or I know certain areas, or I know marketing, or I can just specialize just in the Twitter feeds. You know, what's happening in social media. You see that in terms of, election. Then another area is cybersecurity, of who is, basically even pretending to be certain people. There's other things that they do in companies where they'll put up false stories, and the market can crash. Or insider trading, You can almost do that of deciding. Anybody hear of Ultimate Software? It's Weston. Anybody know where Weston is? No, Weston in Broward, right? There's a large software company. They just got, they were publicly traded and now they're private. They sold for $11 billion, that company here. But if you looked at their stock market the past month, it went up 26%. So to me, that's suspicious. Why'd it go up 26%? Somebody knew something. It wasn't doing so great that it all of a sudden, objectively, there's probably some people knew that they were going to be bought out, right? And some people maybe told their friends and their other friends. So there's software that can basically track that. And let's say Fasundo was there, right, and he told his friends, well, maybe he's not going to be so stupid to trade on that insider information, but he'll tell his other friend, his other relative, and then they'll track his other relatives sometimes, and say there's some connection to that, So there's software that can do that. It can be used for good and it can be used for evil. Yes?
I just have a question regarding RegTech. I was a little confused about how is it sort of different. It does make the sense that it sort of helps technology that sort of complies with regulations and stuff, but how does it exactly differentiate from fintech?
Okay, it's a version of fintech. It's a subset. So basically, if Evelina, who's going to be in law? Anybody doing legal studies and law? So basically, in that area, you have to have compliance. Banks have to be compliant, right? If you use credit cards, you have to be compliant. So all that, you have to fill out forms for compliance. Remember I said know your customer? All that, you have to fill out all those forms. Evelina, she doesn't want, what it's going to be is to make her life easier. She doesn't have to fill out all those forms. When you come in already from Pakistan, they're basically now, and then you have your relatives, right? There's already going to be some software ready to find that out and fill out those forms. So a lot of this, she won't have to do that manual type of thing that they're trying to do. Just like anything else that I already know what documents need to fill out. I already know what processes need to be. I already know what questions need to be. Some of that can be already populated. She doesn't have to retype it from scratch. So all that compliance regulation where they would have Evelina maybe do it with a whole staff of 100, I can cut out all that business and say, hey, maybe that'll be all automated. And the compliance officers will be basically say, go to the new laws and maybe find out they'll still be, I need still the brains to kind of figure out what are the loopholes, what I can do, right? The humans are going to be using their natural intelligence and you'll be working alongside the computers. But that's what a lot of people are afraid of, is where are all the jobs going to be? And those people, you know how Trump was going to say we're going to bring back coal and we're going to bring back all those old technology. Those technologies are gone, but what is the problem is really how do you re-educate those people? And it's not going to be, how are you going to make them programmers? A guy 55 years old, been in the coal mines, that ain't going to happen. So the idea is, with you guys, that's where you have to kind of think of, is kind of moving in, no matter what you're doing, is moving into the tech of even deciding what are the rules, knowing those industries and working alongside it. And they're working in teams. And then you doing more creative kind of things, like the disruption. Think about it from my Ubers to everywhere, right? That it's disrupting that way, and those other industries were slower to disrupt. And they say, hey, I don't need those. And later on, those Uber drivers, they're gonna have to go look for another job. Cause there ain't gonna be any drivers. Truckers. In the beginning there, it was a little bit, so what they'll have is, they'll be looking at it, and then what you'll have, those people figuring out logistics, where should I go, what, maybe I'll start the automation, maybe I'll start the autonomous vehicles on a certain route, and maybe I'll start it with buses or something like that. But if it's a well-defined route, they'll start doing it. You know, so, any other comments, any questions? So what I want for next week is this. You're gonna do that, your quizzes, you can go over that database. You're gonna be doing this, try a couple of companies, try to play around with it. Don't feel like it has to be perfect, right? Do the differences, put your names on it, upload it, and when you upload it as an item, put what the R squares are and the differences. Summarize that so I can look, you know, when you put it, summarize what you found, were the conclusions. Yes, Rachel?
Can we do that as a group or individually?
You can do it as a group, but each of you will have another company.
That's,
You can do it as a group, but each of you will do your own company.
And is a month's worth of data?
Pardon? I do like maybe 45 days or 30 days. You know, in the beginning, just to get the idea. Then what we're gonna do next week is we'll do more of the Excel, and then we'll do the Ninja Trader. And then you can see the difference is I already started having the strategy, but you always have to start in the beginning. You always have to have some kind of, what's my algorithm?
Yeah, the base basically.
And then I train the computer, and then you have it as a whole team.